Okay, trying to see if I'm on here. All right, Florida teacher quits job and makes more money than he did teaching, becoming a full-time shopper. Let me repeat that again. This Florida teacher, he quit his teaching job to become a full-time professional shopper, and he makes six figures, a whole lot more money than he did going to school for all those years and getting that big time degree, maybe more than one or two degrees, probably sitting in front of a panel of people to interview. You know, you're sweating bullets and you have to take all these tests and you have to do all this work to become a teacher. And then when you get in the classroom, you don't have a lot of support and you don't have a lot of backing and you don't call the shots because there are people that are in the school districts who work in administrative offices or higher up that make most of the money and the teachers make the crumbs. And we don't even want to say what the classroom aides, if they have any left, what they make. They make bare minimum. I mean, bare bones. And they have to be educated. They have to have at least possess that they have some type of college units just to get those jobs. And I mean, you have to work tooth and nail to study hard to get those degrees, to get in those positions. And you just find that, whenever issues come up, such as supplies, books, some school districts are even more depleted than others. And you still have issues where teachers have to picket and they have to fight for better wages, better pay, better representation and more support in the classrooms for the teachers. And yet you don't get paid very much. You've heard recently there were some teachers who they had to take up second second or third jobs just to make ends meet to pay off their rent or their car note or their mortgages and to pay for maybe healthcare issues. And there's a lot going on that people don't realize that in the teaching profession, it is not easy at all. And so you're dealing with not only the parents, you're dealing with students um, who, and some of these classrooms don't, if it gets into the, let's say the high school years, middle school, high school years, and on up, who have trouble focusing, or some of them don't even want to come to school. And so there's a lot going on in terms of education. And so the teachers work effortlessly, tirelessly to try to provide the best education. And sometimes, even with that, if you have a school district where there's people who are divided and not enough money is being funneled to programs in the school because the people who are at the top pretty much somehow they're making most of the money while the teachers are not making anything. This is why some of the kids don't have school supplies or they don't have good books or they're they're not really getting the best out of their education because a lot of money is being retorted in other directions in which it need not be. And so if you just if you just like right off start looking at some of the issues that are going on in the teaching fields, then you'll see that there's a lot of things going on right now. Betsy DeVos is supposed to be the head of the education, um, and she has no educational background and experience in being the head of education And what she's been trying to do is she's been trying to change a lot of things so that, some of the schools that people have been complaining about in the past, she's wanting these for-profit institutions, and a lot of those institutions, a lot of people have been complaining about those because the the students, even if they go to those schools, they're not getting the best education necessarily, and they're paying lots of money for those schools. Um, and there's a lot of things that people are talking about in terms of education. Some teachers are still paying their loans, their student loan debt, because of getting those real, you know, high degrees so that they can teach in these positions. And then here you got this man, he said he had enough. And so I guess he's finally decided that he's going to quit teaching, and rightfully so, because of all of the drama that you go through with teaching. So, Florida teacher, he quits his job, decides to become a full time professional shopper. And so he shops for groceries with a program called Shipped. And so there's a lot of these, programs that are coming up where people are benefiting in terms of they have someone to do their shopping for them and then deliver the groceries to their door. So you would think a job like this doesn't require a lot of know-how to do this. And you didn't have to go through 4 or 5 or 6, 7, maybe 10 years of grueling education and tests, and have to acquire all these degrees, and which is expensive. So, Seminole County, Florida, a former Florida teacher who spent 20 years in the classroom and said that a career move now has him making a six-figure salary a year. It's kind of emotional, and I'm trying to fight back the tears because it was the best time of my life, said Ed Hennessy. And so, who he's seeing his old classroom for the first time in a year. He spent 20 years of his life teaching thousands of kids in Oviedo High School. Okay, so would you say that you were living your dream? Hennessy asked. Okay, he was asked? I was, other than the money. So he always wanted to teach and he wanted to give back to communities. So, I mean, it was a struggle, Hennessy said. As a teacher, Hennessy said that he never earned more than 50,000 a year. And then he said he struggled to make ends meet as he worked to support two children and pay off his student loans. See, I basically ran it down to you before I even read the article because this is what a lot of people are going through. So Hennessy said that he always had a second job as well. Some teachers I hear had to have not only a second job, they had to take on a third job. And so he worked at Blockbusters, Old Navy, Target, Uber, and then he decided to work for a company called Shipt. So Hennessy became a shopper for Shipt part-time, as that's how he started out. So in 2015, he developed a system and a fan base behind the system. So 2 years later, he realized that he could make more money, real money, which made him reflect on his time in the classroom. I don't think there is a way to turn it around unless you're going to offer more money, he explained. So in 2017, he made that bold life-changing decision. And so he decided that he took a year of sabbatical that he had earned from his teaching to shop full time. So he basically wanted to test out what it would be like to live his life doing this job full time as opposed to teaching. So currently, Hennessy is making six-figure salary. I make over 100,000 a year, he said. That's more than half. Well, it is. It's half of what half more of what he was making. He was making 50,000. So just delivering groceries, that's all he's doing. You don't have to go to 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 years of college to do that and get all those degrees and be in student loan debt for that. So he said he makes double his teaching salary. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't find the words to say it. I was doing it backwards, but he makes double because he was making 50,000. And so he's 45 years of age, and he said 45 years old last month he officially decided that he retired from his passion. And so rightfully so, he's put in 20 years. Let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it. And they want you to take tests over and over and over again and improve on this skill and improve on that skill. And I think teachers a lot of times go through a lot of unnecessary BS. And you're not able to speak out. And if you speak out, you might get arrested. Seriously, if you speak out, you might get arrested. And you can't talk about the things you want to talk about for upsetting somebody. And they got an attitude or they don't want to hear what you got to say. And then you always know that the people at the very top, somehow their salaries get bigger and bigger and bigger every year. And then they always complain that they don't have enough money for this and they don't have enough money for that. But the people that are working at the very top seem to always have money to pay their bills and their mortgage and their car notes and all of their family needs. But when it comes to the teachers or the teachers' aides, they barely have enough to skate by with. So every day, Mr. Hennessy, he says that he picks up groceries and delivers them to families in Seminole County. So I guess my approach and just making sure that I'm going to grab some cereal, making sure that I know my customers and know exactly what they want, he said. So he has like a repertoire with his customers. And so he's built up a sort of a, well, we know this guy, he's good at shopping for us. He knows what we want. He's very courteous and kind. It doesn't take master degree and MBA and associate's degree and, all this grueling studying. And he's making double the pay he was making when he was teaching kids. For 20 years, he put in all that time. And that's the thanks he got. It's a selfless gratitude. And you have to suck it up and tell yourself, I'm not going to make that much money doing this. But you would think that they wouldn't ask you to have to go through so much schooling and put yourself in debt when they don't even pay you what you're worth. That's my feelings on that. I don't know if anybody feels the same way, but teachers really don't get paid what they're worth. So it says that Mr. Hennessy said that life is much different now. I bet if you're making double what you were making at the school districts. So he works when he wants. Excellent. And mostly 50 to 60 hours a week. Okay. And then he says he's got 50, 60-hour weeks. And then he no longer gets summers off. But who cares? At least he's paying his bills. He's getting by. And he's made a switch and he's doing something that he feels good about. And so that's the thing. With working at schools, you'll get part of your summer off, but you're sacrificing getting less pay, half of what this man is making. And so he no longer gets the summer off. Instead of grading tests and making lesson plans at home, he is glued to his phone and his lifeline, which he said he doesn't mind because he's making a lot more money and he's probably able to do things that he wouldn't normally do had he had still been teaching. So it's so relaxing. Can you imagine that? He's working more hours, but he's having more fun doing the grocery shopping job than he was teaching. Wow. That should tell you something. So I get to go out, and I'm outside all the time, and I see people, and I'm my own boss. You can't beat that. He's his own boss. And so who wouldn't want to be their own boss? The trade-off was sweet for him. So I am who I want to be, said Mr. Hennessy. I thought this was a really good story, and it shows that people have a lot that they go through in these school districts. And so this is by Michelle Imperato. And here there's many articles showing the same thing. So this is the guy right here. And I'm going to try to see if I can play this video. If I can't, then you pretty much heard the story from me. So I'm going to try. There's been a video where he makes commentary about him feeling much better that he's now in his teaching position. And so he's no longer in his teaching position. He was good in his teaching position, but he's even better now. He's feeling a lot better that he made the change to shift because he's making double what he was making in his teacher position. He wasn't really good about the not getting paid and the grueling time that he spent in terms of having to work so hard to become a teacher. You know, you don't get paid anything. And so let me see if I can shift back on over to another article that actually shows him, as he does give commentary about his experience. So maybe it'll come in here. But yeah, it's kind of sad that the teachers don't get the recognition that they deserve. And so I'm trying to see if it'll come in. I don't know if it was right here. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. But while waiting, or how would we say it, toggling, waiting for the buffering or waiting for things to come through. It's like teachers, they go through a lot. You know, they have to grade, they have to go through the personalities of the parents, the personalities of the students, the personalities of the people that work in the office, the people that are working in administrative. And a lot of times, if you complain too much, then you are the fault, you know, or you could end up getting arrested or losing your job. You know, people are upset with you because you said something out of character, that so they feel, and they're not happy with your words. And so this is the kind of stuff that teachers will experience a lot of times more often. So you have teachers that even when in their profession, they're not making enough to pay their student loan debt, and that's become a big problem. You have, you know, the promise that if you become a teacher and you get in these jobs that you're going to be making this great income, when you really aren't making this great income. It turns out you're not. And so let's see what happens here. So I guess he gets to talk about his own experience. So this is a program.
It's kind of emotional.
Give your mind and body.
So it's on a commercial right now. And so let's see, it'll probably go back to
Reservations for your day or weekend getaway.
his what he's going through.
I'm trying to fight back tears because it was the best time of my life.
Ed Hennessy is seeing his old classroom for the first time in a year. It's where he spent 20 years of his life, teaching thousands of kids at Oviedo High School. Would you say you were living your dream?
I was, other than money. I mean, it was a struggle.
As a teacher, Ed says he never earned more than $50,000. He says he struggled to make ends meet with 2 kids and his old college loans. That's why he always worked another job too, like Blockbuster, Old Navy, Target, Uber, and then Shipt. Ed became a shopper for Shipt part-time in 2015.
Thank you.
Developed a system, a fan base, and 2 years later, realized he could make some real money which made him reflect on his time in the classroom.
And I don't think there is a way to turn it around unless you're going to offer more money.
So in 2017, he made a bold, life-changing decision. He took a year sabbatical from teaching to shop full-time. And now,
I make over $100,000 a year.
delivering groceries.
Delivering groceries.
That's right, double his teaching salary. So at 45 years old, last month, he officially retired from his passion.
Leaving education is one of the scariest things and very sad.
So these days, Ed Hennessy spends his time here in his car.
Head north on Casa Verde Boulevard.
And scouring the aisles of supermarkets. Every day, he picks up groceries and delivers them.
How are you feeling? Are you still bad? Yeah. You're not walking straight.
To families in Seminole County.
How did you become the talk of Lake Mary?
I guess my approach and just making sure that making sure that I know my customers and know exactly what they want.
Ed says life is different now. He works when he wants, mostly 50 to 60-hour weeks. He no longer gets summers off. But instead of grading tests and making lesson plans at home, he's glued to his phone, his lifeline, which he says he doesn't even mind.
It's so relaxing. I get to go out and I'm outside all the time. I see people and I'm my own boss. I am who I want to be.
Michelle Imperato, West 2 News.
Okay, so that I just wanted to put that in there so that you knew it wasn't fake news, that it's real. We have some real big issues, and you heard what he said out of his own mouth. He said it's sad that he had to make this life-changing decision just so he can actually make the real money, just to make his life more livable and comfortable in terms of financial stability. And so this is what I was talking about. I've talked about this in other videos, that I feared that we're coming into a time where it's more about the economics. And so this is going to sound really crazy here, but for some, but not so crazy for others. I don't know if anybody saw where the really, really wealthy people are going to get a huge tax break. Now, that was just yesterday. That was aired in the news. And I had to shift over to it. It says Trump administration is considering a tax break on capital gains. Trump wants to give the wealthy another tax cut with a no vote in Congress. Trump administration mulls unilateral tax cut for the wealthy. And so this was a day ago. And so there are some people out here that have jobs that you would think it would require a lot more, income that you would receive, because you have to go through, schooling and whatnot. And so you got to go through a lot of studying just to get those jobs, and there's certain criterions in order to keep those jobs. And so sometimes they even will want you to go back and get more schooling, which will put you in more debt. And so I don't think people realize that teachers go through a lot just to be a teacher, and so it's hard. It's really, really hard. And so I thought this article was really beneficial because, I know this profession all too well. And so I'll just leave it at that. It's just, I really don't believe people understand what some teachers are going through just to maintain their profession, their occupation. And you're getting paid half of what this man is making now that he quit teaching and just shopping. And so I just thought I would bring that out there. I thought that was a good article, and it says a lot about what is going on in this world today. And so I'm going to leave that a go. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening.